Okay, hey everybody, thanks for checking out another week of our team training and inspiration call. These have been really good. I've had a lot of fun highlighting all of you guys and all the awesome things that you're doing on your teams because I think it's valuable for us to be able to learn from each other. And I'm going to talk about something that I don't think I've brought up on this team in a long time. So if you're a veteran on our team, you'll probably know that you've heard this information before that I'm sharing with you, but if you're brand new, hopefully you can take some little nuggets of wisdom from this. But today's call is going to be all about organizing your time, making sure you're prioritizing your activities that you're doing, because I know we're all really busy and a lot of us are home right now or working in different ways or just trying to make good use of the time that we have. And I want to make sure that even if you're new or you've been around a while, you're using your time in the best way possible. You're using it wisely and you're setting aside time to get the work done that's going to move the needle in your business. And it's important to know what activities are going to be the ones that are going to move you forward and going to make the most impact in your business. And you'll often hear us call these IPAs. That means income producing activities. Sometimes people call them, I think it's impact productivity activities or something like that. So you might hear some people call them different things, but if you hear the term IPAs, it means the activities in your business that are actually working your business and not just working like scrolling Facebook looking for posts, right? Like that's not working. Working are the things that are actually getting new prospects in the door, helping people grow their teams, training people, training yourself, all of that, following up, those things. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully I can share, hold on. I'm just going to share my screen and see what it says. Oh, it'll let me share just the window. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and show you a graphic, a document that I created, a chart I created, gosh, a couple of years ago now. But I had this shown to me when I was a gold ambassador at convention. And ever since, it has helped me format my time to be sure that I'm doing the right activities. So I'm going to share this with you. So can you see this graphic here? It's your business priorities. And I made this so long ago, so I haven't even read over. I'm sure some of this is outdated, but these are the order of things that you're going to do when you get time to work your business so that you don't feel like when you get started and to sit down working, you don't know what to do. So you'll see in the green here, it's due first, urgent and important. These are any customer questions that have been sent to you or any newbies that are getting started with their products, have questions with their products, you need to troubleshoot with them. Those are the people that are the very first thing that you should be worried about. Those are the people that you should be talking to them. Absolutely first thing, because you want to make sure that the people you already have are being well taken care of and you're answering their questions. And if anyone's checking in with you, you're answering those. Now, sometimes you can get caught up chatting with these people. I want to make sure that you don't just get stuck chatting with your customers or ambassadors about their life, okay? If something is not an urgent question, if you asked about their products, hey, you had somebody sampling, hey, you started Slim today, how did you like the flavor, whatever, and they answer your question, and if it's not moving in a business direction, know that if they're asking how your kids are doing, you can respond later. Okay, you can respond later today, you can leave it, right? You want to make sure you're doing your business activities. So next are the not urgent but important things, right? And these are the things you have to plan for, you have to prepare for, and make sure that you do these with no distractions. So this is where I want us to make sure that we are blocking off time to work our business, because if I am passionate about anything, it is making sure that you make time for the important things in your business. I cannot stress enough how important it is to set aside time for you to work your business, because if you say, I'm going to do that today when I get time later at the end of the day, newsflash, you're not going to have time, okay? You don't have time unless you wrote it into your calendar already, or unless you put it in your phone already, right? Or unless you set aside the time mentally and physically to get the work done, because you guys, we are masters at procrastination. We are masters at making projects and activities take longer than they need to. Okay, so if you're going to set aside time, I want you to set aside time, even if it's 15 minutes, whatever. It's the first 20 minutes after your kids go down for nap or kids go to bed or whatever it is, right? I want you to know when that time is every single day and make sure you start with these things. You're going to check in with any outstanding questions from your customers, ambassadors, make sure that they are having a positive experience and you're helping them in the best way possible. If that conversation pivots towards how's the weather where you are, you can respond to that later. Okay. And then the next thing you're going to look at are these things. So your intentional business building activities. These are where your IPAs live. New contacts. So we all know a lot of these. This is repetition, hopefully. This is reinforcement. New contacts, new friends on Facebook, new followers on Instagram, new connections in your community. Reaching out, whatever that means to you. If it's sending relationship messages to form new relationships with people, if that's sending birthday sample messages, if that's sending reach out messages to ask about Plexus, whatever that means, you're doing those next. The next thing is going to be your follow-ups. And this is with potentials, you guys. Your follow-ups with potentials. Anyone you're talking to about Plexus currently, we've got conversations going, that's going to be next. And then if there's any training you need to do, like if we're doing IPA challenges, there's a video to watch, or if there's some product you have to learn about to help one of your potentials who just asked a question or whatever, make sure that you get that information or ask for that information. Don't spend 20 minutes trying to click around on YouTube and Google and the back office to try and find something. Just ask, because a lot of us probably know where that is or have the information for you or whatever. So if you don't immediately know where something is, don't spend forever trying to find it. And then I do want to make sure that you do some kind of personal development every day. And that could be reading a chapter of a book, or doing, some gratitude journaling, or doing some exercises that we've shared on the team pages or whatever. I think it's important to make sure that you are doing some sort of personal development every single day to make sure that your headspace is right. Maybe it's affirmations for you. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's, learning something like a new business activity. I know we have a lot of people who are just hosting their first online events, right? They have to learn how to do that, right? So learning something every day is important. So you're obviously consistently and always learning a new skill to move you forward, right? But that's last. I want you to see the order of these. So new contacts, reach outs, follow-ups, any kind of training. And I'm stressing the importance of training that's relevant to who you're talking to right now, right? So if you need to learn something that's going to contribute to your conversations, that's important. And then personal development last, right? And you've heard me say this before on our team. I have the daily 10 or the perfect 10. And this is what I suggest to just keep those business activities moving forward. You've got 3 new contacts, 3 reach outs, 3 follow-ups, and 1 training or personal development item. So you're always learning a new skill. And then my tip, you're going to start messaging people. You're going to start reaching out to people. And some of them are going to respond right then. Don't respond to anything that is not urgent. The only things that are urgent are a potential, like wanting to sign up right now. If you send a message, a reach out, and yes, they want more information, or yes, they want a sample, great. Unless they're potentials, you guys, and they're just someone saying, oh yeah, hey, great, thanks for reaching out. I saw your post on Facebook. Looks like you also have 2 little kids. Whatever. Like if it's just relationship building, you guys, it can wait. You can do it later, okay? If it's a potential that is asking about something business related, then respond. Let everything else wait. Those activities, honestly, you guys, should not be taking you more than 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It could take a little longer if you're really searching for a training topic, or you're searching for people to reach out to, or you're searching for people to follow up with. But you'll see that Brittany's going to talk about it in a little bit. She's going to talk about a system that I love, and more of a planner system to know who you're talking to, who you're following up with, all of that. And so she's going to have some great tips for how to make sure that you're doing the right things, fitting them in, and what she's found that works for her, because I know we all kind of work differently. But I know that this is a struggle for a lot of people. We feel like we don't have time to get things done. We feel like we're too disorganized to get things done. We don't know where things are. We don't know who to ask. We don't know what to say, all of that stuff, right? We don't know what intervals to check in with people at, all those things. And she's somebody who I feel like we've talked a lot about all things organization, and I love the systems that she's set in place and how it's really helped her move the needle in her business, enrolling new ambassadors, now a new business builder. Now she's helping her, and she's learned a lot of things. And so I want you to do those important things first, but I also want to show you this minimize and delegate quadrant right here. This stuff is urgent, but it's not important. So it's something like seasoned ambassador questions. So if I have ambassadors on my team that have been with me for months, even years, and they're asking me something like, hey, do you know where I can find information on Joyome in the back office? I have someone asking. Sure, that's urgent, but I don't really need to respond to it right now. Like, I'm sure if they clicked around long enough, they could find it. Or I could pass them off to somebody else who might be able to have that information that I don't have right offhand. Like, oh yeah, go ask Brittany because she just talked to me about that. I know she just sent that information to somebody. Like, hand it off, right? Or if there's certain information that needs to get shared to your team or whatever. The thing is, show team members how to find resources and answers instead of just spoon feeding them information, because then they'll keep coming to you for everything all the time. But if you show them where to find things, or show them maybe who to ask or who to reference, or if somebody needs a testimony to find, you know, of a certain illness or something, I say, okay, well, here's where you search, go search and find it, right? Instead of me spending 15 minutes searching for the thing and sending it to them. Because our time is so precious, you guys. And you got to make sure that you're giving it to the right activities. And I love our team and I love everybody's questions, but when I'm in the middle of doing my new reach outs or following up with potentials or enrolling ambassadors or helping newbies share the business, it's important to me that I'm protecting that time and I'm protecting how valuable that time is, and that I'm not wasting time that I could be spent doing more valuable activities in my life, doing things that I know people on our team are capable of either finding out themselves, or I can give them the tools to go find information that will be what they need, right? So that's important, to just minimize your busy work, delegate what you can, or instruct people to go find the information in the areas that you know it is instead of you doing it for them. And then the very last quadrant is avoid, not urgent, not important. Scrolling Facebook, scrolling Instagram, perusing YouTube to find training videos, chatting in our million group chats. You guys, I love all the group chats. I love the Plexus community. I love the camaraderie. I love the family. But we do not need to be chatting about pointless stuff in there. It's wasting your time. It's wasting everybody else's time. It's blowing up everyone's phones, right? So keep it concise and keep it business oriented. And that can go for like any chats you have with your people as well. If I wouldn't be chatting with my existing team or even some of my potentials instead of doing IPAs, right? So if they ask me any type of question that is not related to the business, it can wait until I'm done with the rest of my IPAs. And maybe tonight when I'm in bed, about to go to bed, I'm going to answer their question about how the weather was this weekend, right? So I want you guys to understand that it's important to do those things first, make them a priority, and avoid the things that are going to just suck your time away. Because then you're going to feel like, I don't have the time. I'm so busy. I can't get this stuff done. I don't know when I'm going to work my business. Well, first you should have planned it out. You should have blocked out some time. You should know your priorities of what you're doing. And you should be organized with your time and understand what's important and what's not important. And then I'm excited for Brittany to share some things that have worked for her to really organize her business and help move the needle forward. So I'm going to stop this share for a second. I see there was a chat in the chat box. Oh, Becca has to go for a second. Okay. So anyway, I'm excited to hand this off to Brittany because, like I said earlier, we have been chatting about things in this area for a while. I'm just sorting things, getting resources where you need them, making IPAs easy, and making sure you're doing the most important things first. So I'm going to hand it off to Brittany, and she can kind of give us her tips for what's working for her and what she has found to be successful in her business. This may not be for you, but I think that hopefully a lot of you can take a little nugget away from this for some things that might be beneficial to you in your business. So go ahead, Brittany.
Hi guys, so I'm Brittany. Allie is totally right. I have been trying to work out a system for myself for about a year now. And I'm an extremely organized person. So it was something that was very frustrating to me that I wasn't finding what was working. And I realized after lots of talking with Allie and just kind of trial and error that I was trying to do too many people's systems. And I needed to really just hone down on what may have worked for me in the past wasn't working because I now have a toddler and I just had to make some of my own adjustments. And so a couple of the things that have been really helpful for me, I'll name a couple, but the first has been a planner system. And Allie has spoken a lot about this. And I think everybody has a planner system that kind of works, you know, in their way that they work well. But for me, I have the same planner as Allie, the Erin Condren. And what I have learned for myself is that I used to try and write too many things in it. And so now I have it blocked off in 3 different categories every day. And so I'll kind of try to show you, I don't know if you can see it, but it has 3 separate sections. And so what I do is the top is all new like reach outs. So anytime I add or anything, like she was saying, the first group of people, like if you're adding, I write their names there. And then that way it's written down in a place where I can go back to it and I don't have to constantly be writing it in multiple different areas. So this is kind of served to be my continued running list of potentials, but also day by day who I've already talked to. And then as soon as I cross them out, I can move them somewhere else. And then the second section is where I put anything that is follow-up or customer care. And so that's all was still in that urgent box that Ali actually just talked about. And so for myself too, because I know that I am constantly pulled in different directions, I make little notes because I may think in that moment that I'm going to remember what it is, but then an hour later, don't want to waste the time trying to figure out why I wrote their name down. And so I'll just say touch base, follow up, order instructions, just a brief little 2-line thing to give myself that mental reminder of why they were important to write down. And then the last thing that I do is the bottom is I write a top 5 list for every single day. And sometimes I do it the night before so that I'm prepped for the next day, or sometimes I do it in the morning when I'm sitting down with my planner if my daughter's eating. And so, for example, if I'm helping someone with an online event, which I'm currently doing, that was my number 1 because I knew that needed to get done. So that was on there. And then the second one was follow up with people who are currently ordering. Again, time sensitive, they need my attention. So that was the second one. And then from there, I kind of triage the next 3 based on what's going on. And every day it's a little bit different. Some days I need to write post because I know that I haven't done it yet because I got distracted by my life. But for me, just having each separate section and knowing that those things are there for me to come back to has been really, really helpful. Another thing that I've done aside from just my planner system, if you guys haven't seen this was a new thing for me this month. I think Cassie or Ali posted it, and it's a new ambassador checklist. So a lot of the things that I was struggling with were, even though I was writing them down, was I consistently following up with the right people at the right times to make sure that they were getting the best customer care. So that was something I focused on this month. And by printing this out, I was able to write in the dates after I checked in with people. And that for me has been really helpful. So if you're somebody who likes to check things off, have a very clean place to keep it, this was already created. So I highly recommend it if you are adding a lot of new ambassadors and you're wanting to really step it up and have that really good customer care experience. That has been working wonders for me. And then the third thing I was going to tell you guys about is posting. And I know that may seem kind of crazy that it's like for some people it's just so easy. You go in, you do it, whatever. I was an overthinker, to the T. I would spend way too much time over analyzing what I was going to say, what it was going to look like, when I was going to post it, which are important things and they definitely help your business. But I just needed it all on one piece of paper. And I didn't realize that by doing that, it would solve so much mental energy that could then go into more relevant IPA activities. So I now print out every month. I just print out a little free calendar and then I block off different Plexus things. So it actually has increased my knowledge base too, because I'm learning new things about new products. I'm seeing new videos, new information. And so then I can kind of plug it in and I'm sharing more. And I really feel like making sure that that open sign is out and people know that you're serious and that you are here because you really are consistent with Plexus, it has been really, really, really helpful. So those things have been, I think, in the last month, a huge shift in moving my business forward. I've seen a lot more consistency, a lot more just things working more smoothly, because even when things do come up, and maybe, for example, today, I had a family emergency that I had to deal with, but it didn't totally derail everything I was doing because I was able to come back to my planner, kind of refocus, recenter, and say, okay, maybe I had set a time for that and that wasn't going to be in that time slot, but now I can just plug in the other activities that I still need to check off and keep the ball rolling. And so that's kind of what's been working for me. I think the only other thing I would say is if I know that I need to do something and, like I said, something happens, I set a quick reminder in my phone. And then that allows me to kind of remind myself later in the day. So, yeah, I think those are kind of the things that are working for me. I don't know, Allie, if there's anything else you wanted me to touch on.
No, that's awesome. And I'm actually really glad you talked about posting. I've been helping a few people get used to that, because when you're posting for a business, it's a lot different than when you're posting just free for all as a personal like account that's not wanting to run a business. And so the structure of that is important. The variety of posts are important. The timing is important, and the consistency is important. And so I think it's important to know that you have to open your doors every single day, right? Like you said, making sure that your doors are open means making sure that you have content on social media. And it needs to be a variety of content, just like you have on that calendar that you wrote out. It's like you can think about the, 5-10 things that are topics you post about and jot them down on a list. You could even make a list of all the days in the month, right? And just write ideas on it if you don't want to print out a calendar. But the point is to give you some jumping off points for content, and also making sure that you're posting a variety of Plexus information, because if you only post about active every single day, you're taking a selfie with your active, all you're going to get is people who want to buy one bag of active, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to remember that when you're posting things, or if you're only posting about how good ProBio 5 is, you're just going to get people who want to buy ProBio 5. But if you're posting about some different variations of our combos or information or the business or different testimonies or whatever, you're going to get that larger spectrum of people. And it's important to see that. And I think laying it out like you have makes it really obvious if you're covering all your bases, because I think when we're flying by the seat of our pants and posting whatever we want every day, it's easy to fall in the rut of posting similar things very, very often. And so I think it's important to have that variety, and also to remember to post every single day. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Social media, Facebook, Instagram are the most widely used free advertising platforms you will ever come in contact with, ever. There are billions of users. And so if you're not using it properly or effectively, then it's like a shame in your business, because it's completely free. It's only like on you to make use of it. And so I've been helping a few people that have really busy days, but they have a similar morning and evening routine. Actually forgot to mention this earlier, so I'm glad you talked about posting. A lot of us have things we do in the morning and things we do at night. If the whole day is a disaster, at least there's probably things we do right when we get up in the morning, and there's probably things we do right before we go to bed. And so I have been helping them set phone reminders. I'm all about the phone reminders, to post at those times, whether it's a personal post in the morning and Plexus in the evening, or vice versa. You can map out what you want to post if you want to jot down a bunch of ideas on a calendar, or save, we all know how to save posts on Facebook, and you have a bank right there. We have our Facebook post collection you can pull from that are Plexus posts. I also save people's personal posts a lot, because I love the message that they're sharing. I love the verbiage that they use. I love all of that. And so I like to share those too. And you can actually categorize those on Facebook. You can add them to different albums and different categories. So if you want to post about a certain subject that day, you can do that. And I even had somebody who wanted to make sure that they were hitting like a business testimony, a product testimony, product information. Maybe she wanted a selfie one day, and then she wanted, whatever. I had her, she set weekly reminders on like a certain day. Say Monday is a product testimony day. Monday, right when she was getting ready for bed at 8 p.m., she had a reminder go off on her phone that said, post a product testimony every single night. So she'd remember. And then after you do that, it becomes habit. You don't even think about it anymore, because or Tuesdays, Testimony Tuesday, right? All of a sudden you remember every Tuesday, because you've been doing it for 6 weeks like that. And you don't need the reminders anymore. You're already set. And naturally you start saving appropriate posts, because you understand that you're sharing all these categories. So utilize reminders. What?
Did you know that you can do that in Instagram too?
You can? I didn't know that. Okay.
Not quite in
save things and
not in folders, but you can actually prep posts, which is something I've been doing. Oh, so I will go in as if I'm actually going to create a post right then. Mm-hmm. And then you basically backtrack. So you would just go click back, and it will say, do you want to save as a draft? And then if you pull up, I'll show you on my phone, if you pull up your Instagram and say, I'm ready to put a post out there, let me pull it up for you. So if I go to create, it has 3 or 4 posts. Oh, I just took a screenshot of your thing. Right here, see how there's 3 on the bottom, or 4? Yeah. So they are saved. So then all I have to do is go in there. They're saved as drafts. Click it, brings it back up. I can edit the caption if I'm not happy with what I had started the first time, and then I can put it out.
What a good tip. That must be a new feature, because I didn't know you could do that. Or maybe it's been there and I just never found it.
I kind of found it by accident. Like I was in the middle of doing something. My daughter needed me. I like clicked back and then I went back and it was there. And I thought, well, that's cool. And then
Yeah,
I tried doing it again. And then I was like, oh, now I have 4 lined up. I can just put it out whenever it's time.
absolutely. What an awesome tip. So I think it's important to slow down to speed up, right? And so if you do need to take an hour on a Wednesday evening and write out what you're supposed to do tomorrow or for the rest of the week, write out who you're speaking to, maybe plan a week of posts. You know how better the week is going to go because you know exactly who you're talking to, exactly what you're posting, and think about exactly when you're going to get work done. Set appropriate reminders. It's going to make your life work so much more smoothly. And so I know that organization can be kind of a dirty word to some people who don't live their lives that way. I am a very organized person and I like structure. Some people don't like structure, but the thing is, structure and organization allows you to be free in other areas of your life. It allows that freedom. It allows that fly by the seat of your pants because you have everything already taken care of and you don't need to worry about it and you're so much less stressed. You have so much less anxiety. So I want to just kind of stress that people on our team can sometimes get all wrapped up and I don't know what to do and I don't have time to do it and I'm not sure what I'm doing. It's like, hey, everybody take a breath. Like, know that maybe it's tomorrow night. You need to say, okay, after I put the kids in bed, I'm going to take half an hour. I'm going to write out all my posts for the week. I'm going to make a list of my potentials. I'm going to write out what my priorities are every day this week or whatever you need to do. And it's going to make the rest of the week go so much more smoothly if we would just commit to setting aside the time to just get organized at first. And it's so easy to keep up too. It's so easy to maintain. Once you have a system like people written in a planner, just like you said, as soon as you talk to somebody, cross their name out and move it over. And I keep my planner out where I can see it. I don't put it away and store it up on a bookshelf where it's not going to be convenient. I have it laying out all over. It's up in my office. It's in my bedroom. It's laying out in my kitchen. Like it's all over because when I talk to somebody, it's right there for me to cross out, right? And so I think that's important. Just like we say to people when they're products. I mean, have them conveniently located, set reminders if you need to, set yourself up for success, plan out what you need to. And it goes the same way if you're a business. You need to make sure that you're doing the important things first, set reminders if you need to, set things out where you can see them, make it obvious and easy to succeed. And it's going to be so much easier to run your business and it's not going to overwhelm you. And you can do it in such a little amount of time. I think it's important to realize that it doesn't take like hours a day to be doing this stuff. This every single day, I mean, you could literally spend, like I said, 30, 45 minutes, maybe 60 minutes doing all this stuff, depending on how in depth you're looking for things or writing posts or whatever. But the point is for this to be fun and you're helping people and you're sharing valuable content and you're making money for your family at the same time and it doesn't need to be overwhelming. And so the goal is to not have it be that way. So I love what you shared, by the way. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to tell you. Probably not, but I think prioritizing your daily top 5 activities is really important. I write out what my important activities are for the next day, depending on if it's scheduling events or if it's sending samples or if it's following up with certain people or whatever it is. Some things are very time sensitive. If someone's trying a sample that day, I need to talk to them that day. But if somebody's been an ambassador for 4 months and they pretty much got the triplex down pat and they're loving it, it's okay if I don't get to them today, they'll still be there tomorrow and they're still doing okay, So that's why it's important to look at those priorities and know that you're answering the urgent things first and not doing the non-urgent things when they don't need to be done. So yeah, anything else you wanted to add, Brittany?
I think the only other thing, because I know there's so many people that are just now starting to share, or you mentioned like in the priority list in the very beginning, or I'm sorry, the chart, kind of hitting those important activities first and not like spending so much time trying to find the information, like reaching out when you might need it and somebody's going to have it quickly. One thing that I think is really important that in the beginning, I struggled with trying to find a way to really organize all of that. And so then I kind of spent a lot of unnecessary time kind of making myself feel guilty in a way, like, oh, because I don't have the answer, but I've already asked for it, or I can't find it. And it was hurting my business in a lot of ways because I was hitting roadblocks where I wasn't responding to people because I didn't have the information. And so I'd be like, oh, I'll do it later. Or, oh, I'll ask Allie and then I'll do it. And so one thing I've really tried to make a habit for myself in the last month, or couple months actually, is I just went back and I was like, whatever I was doing wasn't working. So I created new folders in my phone, and every time I ask a question, I save it, or whether it's verbiage that I need to send to somebody, whether it's a sample message that we're sending out, whatever it is. and it's just there now. And it's taken out so much stress and so much unnecessary, just like tedious time, because now I can just go in, find it, and send it. And if I still don't have it, then I can ask. And so it's kind of been a way to, it's empowering in a lot of ways, because you kind of learn that trial and error, and now, you know, it's saved in my phone and it's really easy. So if you don't have a system like that, or you know, you're trying to find a way on your phone, like there's tons of ways to save it. I know Kelly has taught me in the last like month, like the shortcuts on the keyboard is huge. Like, whoa. There's been downloading your Facebook friends, like there's always new things that we're going to learn, but just every month realizing like there's just so many great things. So take what you can, and you know what works for you, and then keep going.
Absolutely. And I firmly believe that the faster you can implement a change, the more success you're going to see. So even if it's just one little pivot you can make, if you can make that pivot more quickly, say it's planning your posts out, right? If you can do that tonight and plan out the rest of May, the more success you're going to have, because you're going to take away all that stress that you would have had every single day, right? Or maybe it's organizing, you know, getting started guides or something, and you need to have like, you know, the top 3 that we use, like a triplex, renew you, variety pack, or whatever, right? Go find those, save them, so you have them, and the next time you need them, it's like that, because you have it saved in your phone instead of having to ask every single time you need it. It takes time for people to get back to you, right? So the speed of implementation is important, because the more you can just make small pivots like that every single day, like Brittany said, learn something new and then act on it. Don't just say, oh, I'll do that when I have time. Oh, I'll do that when, and then you start to feel that guilt, like she was saying. You're like, I don't know, I keep asking for this, I keep needing help, this is taking so much time. It's like, no, just take what you learned and then go do it. And then tomorrow, learn something else and then go do it. And the faster you can make those changes, the more success you're going to see in your business. And so I think that's important. And that's what it's all about today, is like slow down a little bit, get more organized, change a couple things if you need to, switch it up, and get yourself going on a faster track to success. So thank you so much, Brittany. That was awesome. And I hope everybody gets some good info out of this. I know a few people are catching this later, and I can't wait to see what people think about it, because this is something I'm passionate about. You guys know I'm passionate about organization. And so I was happy to highlight Brittany, because she's come a long way. I know that was a point of overwhelm for a little bit, and we had to kind of like work through what works and what doesn't. And now she's like in a solid place and has a really good system. So I'm happy about that. Yay. Well, thank you. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.